Andy, it's Nick. Just calling to say, man, I see you out there working hard. Looks like you're doing really good. Selling shows out all over the place. I'm just wanting to call and say I'm really, really proud of you, and I bet you.
Hey, it's Schwartz. I'm glad you didn't answer. I'm pretty fired up at the moment. I'm not happy with you. My problem used to be making sure you didn't take drugs from the crowd and do them on stage and thereby get arrested. And now I have to fucking tell you to not give drugs to the crowd. What kind of fucking world are you living in? I'm on the Pro Ambassadors page and I see you're handing out what looks like mushrooms. Let's hope they were fake. Is that a thing? Fake mushrooms? I don't know. But Andy, I am not fucking joking. You cannot take drugs from the crowd and do them on stage. And guess what? You cannot take drugs that are already on stage and give them to the crowd. You will get arrested and you will go to jail and then you will be fucking bumming. And you will kneecap your entire career and you will not go to Japan and you will not go to fucking China and you will not go to Canada. And it's a bummer. We're working too hard. You work your ass off. What the fuck? Who gives shit to the crowd? I've never seen this in my entire life. It's Andy, you got to rein it in.
Can we clap? And we're live. Andy Frasco's World Saving Podcast. I'm Andy Frasco. On location, and we have my co-host sitting in, what is that, you have a lazy boy at your house?
It's like I have a couch with a recliner on the end of it, you know?
Wow, look at that. Look what money brings people. Some people buy instruments, some people buy lazy boys.
Hell
Nick
yeah.
Gerlach, how we doing, buddy?
Doing great. I just got back from Secret Dreams. I'm hanging out with Kino now.
That looked like it crushed.
It crushed. Especially the electronic stage.
Yeah. I was. It seemed like there was a shit ton of people there.
For the first, I don't want to talk about. I'm pretty sure they definitely hit their goal for their first year. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
I don't know the exact number, but I know they sold over 7,000 tickets, which is pretty wild for a first year festival.
Let's fucking go, boys! That's what we're talking about.
The Gerlach bump. They got the Gerlach bump.
Oh, fuck. I am beat up.
Once again, it seems like you guys have been going hard as fuck lately.
Oh, God. 7 shows in a row.
Are any of them private?
One was private for Deep Eddies.
And one you bombed.
And one I bombed, yeah. What show? Oh, Cape Cod I bombed. That was the first time I bombed in a long time.
Was that like a hard ticket show? Like, what was going on with that?
It was a hard ticket show. It was a Sunday on the Cape. It was just kind of like, I don't know. It was kind of
all the kids went back to school.
Yeah, it was like a bunch of old people, and no disrespect to old people, but they weren't. I just wasn't landing anything. Nothing was landing. I got a couple, claps from after songs. It was just really weird.
It's not really an old, but you do have old fans that go hard too. You know what I mean?
Like I know. Maybe it was just an off day.
Maybe it's just those Cape Cod rich people, and they don't want to let loose. I don't know.
It definitely humbled me.
I would love to see you bomb. I have never seen you bomb before. It's got to be hilarious. I've only seen like 800 people carry you on their shoulders, like you just won the Super Bowl. I've never seen you bomb before. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely a humbling experience. When you're on a roll, and all of a sudden you have a shitty show, I was just in my head. I was like, "Damn, do I still got it?" I'm like, "Oh, I needed this. I needed to learn from this."
It's good for you.
It's good to bomb. I think it is good to bomb.
Oh, definitely. Every comedian says it's like, first of all, it's the worst thing that ever happens to them, and the best thing that ever happens to them. Here's the thing about you hecklers out there. If you really want to get back at a comedian, instead of heckling them, just sit in silence. I think that would affect them way more. Don't you think that's true? Like, what would you rather hear? I would almost rather be booed than have no reaction.
Yeah, you're
personally.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
I would rather have someone go, "You piece of shit! Like you went too far." Well, at least I did something. You know what I mean? I was making everybody chant drugs at Secret Dreams during my set. It was so funny.
Oh, I got yelled at too. I guess there's a video flying around the Fro ambassadors of me throwing mushrooms in the crowd.
Hey,
and
quick message to the Fro ambassadors. We love you. Let's not narc on Andy, guys. Let's keep it to a fan relationship. We don't need to be sending Brian videos and narking on Andy, or there will be no ambassadorship left to engage in. It's going to be Andy's real estate company. You want to be able to get a real estate license.
Oh man, because we were already, he was already, pissed that we're having a bender. We've been on a bender, but
have you guys been bending?
We've been bending a little bit, yeah.
I like that. Yeah, about you guys though, binging. Whenever you guys are in one place, which you were in one in Nantucket for a week, you know it's going down. It's going down, the Frasco boys. You can't have that band in one place for a week. It's in a luxury vacation spot of all places.
You're right. We were keeping it. We stayed at the studio all week, but yeah, we were ripping mushrooms all day and having IPAs.
Healthy, though.
Yeah, that's healthy.
I think mushrooms. I'm pretty sure they're healthy at this point.
That's a thing I was thinking about too. I guess I could get in trouble for throwing mushrooms in the crowd.
You could definitely. You could.
I could go to jail for a long time. You think?
I'm not a lawyer or anything, but it just depends on what state you're in. I guess maybe in Colorado you might not, because I think they're decriminalized here. But where were you? Massachusetts? They're pretty chill about drugs, actually. Yeah. So I don't know.
No, we were in Rochester, New York.
Oh, well, they got way bigger things to worry about there than some Jewish guy throwing mushrooms to
Schwartz
people.
Was like, cops listen to music too, Andy.
Do they though?
I don't know. They're not listening to me.
Can they hear it over the sounds of their fists hitting? Never mind.
Shut the fuck. Come on. Chill.
No, I'm just kidding. Just riffing over here, guys. Anyway.
Memphis is fun. Was it? I'm in Memphis.
Was Rochester the festival you did with Lettuce?
No, that was we did our own outdoor festing in a farm, and it fucking. I was worried because it was the fourth time we've been in that area, and we still brought 700 people. Let's fucking go. They love us up there.
You're good for 700 in Rochester at this point. I guess.
Walk in the park. I like it.
Take note, promoters. That means you should be getting at least $14,000 guarantees at festivals in that area. Yeah, $20 times 700.
Speaking of shows, Repsy.com. You haven't done the pitch in a while. Why don't you do the Repsy pitch?
I've been following Repsy. It looks like they're blowing up a little bit.
Yeah,
I've been seeing
popping.
all these crazy frat parties. They've been advertising this. They have the South on lockdown right now, especially if you're a party band. I feel like if you 10 years ago, you're a little you're not where you need Repsy right now. 10 years ago, this would have been perfect for your band.
I know we would have I wish we knew Repsy 10 years ago because we would have played all those frat parties.
So if you look up to the Andy Frasco in the UN and that's the kind of career path you want, I would sign up for Repsy right now.
Let's go.
Hey, I'm just being funny. That's a good path. You guys are crushing it right now.
You're right. We are. I was surprised. I was worried about all these turnouts being
shitty. I know. I was going to say.
Been fucking killer. Every turnout's been killer.
I was going to say, you were whining and crying and complaining a month ago about how these shows aren't doing well. Every time I go online, there's a fucking huge crowd of people. Ryan Dempsey's laying down in the grass drunk or something. I don't know.
I interviewed Dempsey. We're putting that out next week with his wife.
That's the whole
She's
episode.
seen aliens too.
Of course, you can't marry someone who sees aliens and not believe in aliens. That doesn't work. That's like being a different religion or something. Some things have to cross over, Yeah. Anyway, back to Repsy.
Back to Repsy.
If you're a band, if you're a comedian, if you're a magician, sign up. They'll get you gigs. Here's the thing: you have literally nothing to lose. It's just like a personal injury attorney. You don't pay them unless they get you some money. Okay, same thing. And if you already have an agent, they're not going to double your fees. So you're good here. Just sign up. The worst that can happen is you are where you are right now. But from what I've been seeing on their Instagram, you're going to crush it and definitely make more money. So sign up.
Well, that was a great pitch. I'm going to clap to you.
Yeah. I've been working on my marketing.
How's dinner? You miss me yet?
It does get a little boring without you around. I like to talk to you on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's weird. I was thinking we've never done it over Zoom. Isn't that insane? Because we had the whole pandemic and everything.
I know. Well, we're attached to the hip now. I was like, I thought something was up. I thought your Twitter account got hacked when you were saying how much you appreciated me.
I love doing that to people. Every once in a while, I give you a little something to hold on to.
I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Especially on the Disco Biscuits fucking Twitter page, which was even more funny to me.
I know. That's what I made it funnier. Anytime I can be sincere with Brownie, in between NFTs, it's good. But I just, every once in a while, I got to throw you a bone. It's Tuesday. Usually you're pretty depressed on Tuesdays.
Yeah, it's true.
You haven't gotten paid. Like your last days, it's the farthest day between paychecks. It's Tuesday. Usually Saturday's your last gig, and then your next one's Thursday. Usually, right now you guys are on a grind right now,
dude. It's nonstop. But we're making money.
You are making money, which is nice. Remember the days when you used to grind like this and lose money?
Yeah.
No, that wouldn't happen if you had Repsy back then.
Every big band I talk to is on a salary.
Yeah, I mean that's the way to do it. It's better for taxes, I think, too.
Oh man, I'm getting fucked up the ass with taxes, dude.
You're about to vote for Ron DeSantis in the next election, aren't you? Just based on taxes alone.
It was just like one thing after another. Low dopamine from this bender. The fucking Schwartz legit yelling at me about the drug.
I know.
thing.
I heard you sent me his voicemail.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna play it in the front.
Mad.
I think I might play it in the front of this episode, but he was fucking pissed. And then,
dude, he sounded 6'2" in that voicemail.
I'm already in the doghouse, dude. I'm trying to get out of the doghouse.
Hell yeah!
Just like
Bongiorno never yells at you for partying.
No. Bongiorno doesn't. Shout out to Bon. Thank you.
That's an agent vibe.
He understands me. It's not like I'm doing it on purpose. Well, kind of, but
Drugs in the cut. Were you high on edibles?
Yes, dialed in gummies. Those things get me rocking, dude.
Hell yeah! I've been mowing those down.
How many have you been taking?
I do in like 3 or 4 a night. I'm holding on to these year cans from the last shipment with my dear life, trying not to eat them.
Oh, you know what you could do? You could go into my house tomorrow and grab. I have like 10 cans.
I have 3 cans I'm holding for you.
Oh, sick! Because I got about 10 cans, and I can't. I mean, I ran out on tour, so this is the first week, and you can't ship them. That's illegal. But dialed in gummies. Grab some dialed in gummies. Another sponsor. Yeah. The best. Keith, you're the best.
Keith rules.
They signed up for another 4 months of the podcast.
Let's love us.
We're back. We sell gummies. We are fucking gummy slingers.
Bro, they are flying off the shelves at Fishbowler.
People have been sharing me with when they buy them and stuff now. So watch out. The fall, we're going to have a world-saving podcast gummy collab with them. We're going to make some. We got to figure out what flavor we want to do. Should we do like a nasty flavor? So
that'd be kind of fun. What about marshmallow or something weird like that?
I know. I would like the sweet ones are just so good.
Yeah, candy is so good. I love candy.
I fucking love candy too.
Yeah, candy.
I lost 8 pounds. Look at my body. I lost 8 pounds.
I know.
Don't I look skinny?
Just from you do look skinny from what?
I don't know. I'm just when I'm on the road, I lose that 15 pounds. Yeah. The freshman. I just don't. I don't really.
It's weird because there's carbs in those drinks you be drinking.
I'm not drinking beers that much. I'm only drinking Jameson.
Whiskey.
Yeah. But the great thing about mushrooms, I've been taking mushrooms every day, and the great thing about that is I don't really drink that much on them.
I like the natural energy that mushroom gives me. Also, the
too.
mood lift. The mood lift is good for me.
Yeah. I've been like
You know
dealing
me.
with a lot of personal shit too, and like,
Oh, that sucks.
yeah, it's just been I've been like in a real sad mood. So like the mushrooms I've been taking, they've been really helping me. So that's good.
They're good for that.
Yep. So get yourself some dialed-in gummies and get yourself on
Eat
a mushroom
mushrooms.
regimen. If you're feeling
drugs,
sad,
people.
microdose mushrooms. I'm telling you, it makes you feel better. I know everyone has their own things about pitching drugs and shit, but for me, psilocybin is the way to go. So if you're feeling sad, go get some psilocybin in your body.
Just try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it again.
Yep. Oh man, I'm going to Barcelona tomorrow.
Barcelona.
Why does everyone say with the TH? Barcelona.
Because that's like the Barcelona accent of the Spanish language.
Everyone's
that's
like,
how they
I'm
say
like,
it.
I'm going to Barcelona. They're like, Barcelona.
Barcelona.
So it'll be good. Virgin.
Awesome.
Shout out to Virgin Voyages for giving me and my friends a free trip that Nick did not want to go to. I'm like, you fucking dumbass. Why didn't you want to go
I'm
to
working.
That? What are you doing?
I'm working all that week.
So I'm going on a vacation, guys. So
hell yeah.
Don't bother me. Nick, you could bother me. I don't know if
I don't bother you very much.
I know. It makes me sad because I miss you. I'm out here. I'm out here alone in these streets.
Just text me first, and I'll chat it up with you. I don't like to bother people when they're working.
I know. Speaking of that, I gotta get the sound check.
Well, yeah.
This was short and quick, but
that actually wasn't. I don't think it was as quick as you think it was.
18
I think we've been on for a good 20 minutes.
Yeah,
pretty good.
We got
that's good for
Ketch
a Zoom one
from Old Crow Medicine Show on the show.
Hell yeah, I remember. I researched him.
He's so smart. I felt like a fucking idiot. Because
really
he's just too smart, dude. He's like, he went to school with like the guy, I'm not gonna say his name, but the Z word.
We don't say his name.
From the F book word.
Yeah.
We don't like saying his name.
He went to Harvard.
He went to like preps high school with all these geniuses.
Damn. Yeah. And he wrote that Wagon Wheel song, or he wrote half of it at least.
Yeah, he made that. He made that money, baby. Let's go.
Remember how big that song was?
Huge. And then Darius Rucker just re-recorded it, and then he just probably made more money on that. Shout out to writing good songs.
Hell yeah. That's a good way to make passive income.
I know. I'm hoping we're almost done with this record. I think it's really good.
We just put one out an hour ago.
I know. Because I'm you're
a workaholic.
I'm a workaholic. And maybe that's why I'm so tired. I'm just using my brain on both sides of the spectrum and then trying to have fun with this band music thing, because if you don't have fun with it and you just let the business side just take you, then it fucking sucks. Yeah.
Hey, don't get into music for the money unless you want to work with Repsy. They might help you.
Yeah, here's my motivation. Don't get into music for money. Because you are just going to get let down, or it takes a while to make money, and like for how much work you put into it, you're never going to feel like it's enough. So you have to take a step back and realize it's for the art. It's for the art. All these musicians out there who listen to this podcast, a ton of them, don't worry about it. Money will come, but do it because you love music. And I'm falling back in love with music.
Hell yeah,
music's
tight.
Yeah,
I've been writing.
Well, I'm feeling good. I'm ready to go to Barcelona for a couple weeks, and then I got to fly to Canada for 2 shows, and then we go to See Here Now in Asbury Park. And then I fly back to Europe for our fucking European tour.
I'm going to that,
and you're coming with me, buddy. This is gonna be fun. Are you excited for that?
I think so. I'm getting there. Still a month away.
I know. That's how I felt about this Barcelona trip. I wasn't excited about it until now. I'm leaving, in 2 days or 3 days, and
it's gonna be cool, right? How far is that flight?
It's only from New York. It's only 8
6 hours.
8 hours.
That's not that bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's good. So it'll be fun. And then I got 3 days in Barcelona until we hit, and then we're doing like the island hop on the Virgin cruise, and I gotta be a social media. I'm an influencer for 10 days, Nicholas.
On a cruise ship.
On a cruise
they really
ship.
know you. Speaking of the old people demographic.
It's an adult
All
cruise.
inclusive?
I wonder if they have like some freaky shit, like some like
Oh, definitely,
sex
dude. Cruises
parties.
is like
And...
that's what half the reason people go to cruises is to have gangbangs, I think.
That'd be tight. I've never been in a gangbang. Maybe I'll be in a gangbang.
I feel like that would either go really well or really poorly for you.
You know who's been on a tear?
Who?
Actually, I can't even say it.
Let me guess.
Who?
Will you bleep it out?
Yeah. Yes. Bro, I'm impressed. And he is getting ass, and it is awesome. You know, he's having fun. He's having fun.
I guess he's got that like energy to him where girls just like want to be around him, you know?
I know. It's like multiple threesomes. Multiple. What? Yes.
How do you even...
But a couple of them were just these one-night stands. I'm like, God, let's fucking go, my guy.
We said we weren't going to say it, and we said his name at least 7 times.
I got to go. I got to go to sound check. But Nick, I love you.
Your favorite sound check.
Oh, yeah. I've been trying to be a team player lately.
Oh, you've been actually going to sound check and
singing? Every night. I missed 2 sound checks because I'm getting tired, but
I feel like you don't have to go to line check, but you can go to sound check. It's the very last 10 minutes.
I feel bad for Bo. Bo's kicking ass. Jason is been on vacation for like 4 days, so Bo is like doing the loadout by himself.
Oh my God!
Yeah, shout out to Bo. Bo's killing it.
Yeah,
Bo's a great tour manager.
Yeah, he is really good at it, actually.
Yeah. All right.
Honestly, if you got another job after you, like another tour manager job, like any job would be easy. You know, he's ready for any job now, basically.
Yeah.
After managing you guys, like,
oh yeah, he was tour managing one band. I'm not gonna blast it.
Right.
Yeah, he was like, this band is so fucking boring. I'm like, yeah, right. Boy, we tainted you. You'll never.
All right, you gotta go.
I gotta go. All right. Love you, Nick.
I'll see you next time
this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And be safe. Have fun. And good luck out there. I love you and I miss you.
Take care, everybody.
You're not gonna say it?
I love all of you except for Andy. I'll talk to you guys later.
I'm ending this. Goodbye.
We're saving it for the brand.
All right. Later, bro. Bye. Bye. Later. Get out of here.
All right. Next up on the interview hour, we have Ketch from Old Crow Medicine Show. Yes. I love this interview so much. Not only is he a genius, but they are one of my favorite bands of all time. I saw them play about 14 years ago at Hangout Fest, and I was hooked ever since. The energy, the songwriting, the whole nine, it's just perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, hey, Chris, play some Old Crow Medicine Show while we're pimping out Ketch. He's brilliant songwriter, great front man. He's got it all, and I can't wait for you to hear this interview. All right, ladies and gentlemen, next up on the interview hour, Old Crow Medicine Show.
I've been looking forward to this one for a while, and I'm thankful that someone reached out to make this happen. Ketch, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm glad someone reached out to make it happen too, because I got to meet you.
Yeah, I've heard, you're one of the first reasons why I play music. Just FYI, I've heard.
Really?
100%, man. Your live show and I saw you play maybe at Hangout Fest 10 years ago.
Oh, sure. And down in Alabama, right?
Down in Alabama. You're doing this sideshow, and I was working for Spin Magazine, and I saw you perform, and you were one of the greatest frontmen I've ever seen, and inspired me to do what I'm doing now. So I just want to say thank you.
Well, man, I'm glad to do it. I watched some great frontmen in my life, and heard them on the radio and watched them on film and on stage, but mostly on television.
Yeah.
And modeled my whole shtick after what I saw. And so I'm glad to pay it forward. And now you get to go up there and break a sweat and hopefully not an elbow.
Let's talk about that first before I heard you don't have a smartphone or a laptop.
Well, that's how I was when you saw me at the what's it called, and up until about I guess I got a smartphone right before the pandemic, and it was the best choice ever. it's kind of like I had just started smoking in my 40s. You know that feeling of like, God, where have you been all my life?
Yeah, exactly.
This is great. But I'm so glad I didn't start when I was 12. Instead, it's the other way around. I did start smoking when I was 12, but I didn't engage in screen time, social media dysfunction until I was 40 something.
And I think that's smarter because I feel like we get way more addicted to the social media than we would of smoking cigarettes.
No, I disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it wasn't smoking cigarettes. It was chewing tobacco, which I also started doing when I was 12. And once I started chewing tobacco, God, it's like I never wanted to quit that. I would have died doing that, but I've since stopped. And I've since started doing social media, but I could take it or leave it. Moderation is one of those things. It's like an elusive dance partner. You're always trying to make sure that she is top of your dance card.
Yeah. And how hard is it to have moderation in your life, Ketch?
Well, I work in bars for a living. I go to bed about 4:00 in the morning, and that's normal. But, there's other aspects of my life that keep me, straight and narrow. Like I have children, and I'm a community activist in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm involved with all kinds of things. And so I have like a professional hat that I put on sometimes. And but even when I'm wearing my professional hat, I'm still doing it like a tobacco spitting front man with a violin tucked under my elbow.
It's true. And, let's talk about that. 12 years old, getting all these things thrown your way, like cigarettes and chewing tobacco. Tell me about your childhood a little bit. Where are you from? And aren't you from Canada?
No, but I'm so touched that you say that. My resources are too exhausted to even bear mention. How glad I am that you said that. But no, I'm sorry about that. I digress. I lived in a whole bunch of different states. By the time I was a fifth grader, I lived in 5 states. And that's when I had moved to Virginia. And that's where I think of myself as being raised, even though there was a real kaleidoscope of other places when I was a smaller kid, including Louisiana, St. Louis, and New Jersey, and Missouri. But once I got to Virginia, things really kind of stabilized and my family quit moving. And that's where I learned a passion for music. But really, it started in community theater and in plays in school. I just wanted to be up on a stage and memorize my lines. And I really wanted to kiss the girl at the big, end of the show.
Well, that's perfect. I mean, in that sense, maybe you got adjusted to traveling so much because growing up you were traveling so much.
Yeah, and as soon as I was, of age to, or even before, when I was about 14 or 15, I would just ride the train everywhere, and that's when I first played on the street corner. It was I went out to work on this commune type of place where they lived in teepees and grew a lot of different things, including vegetables, which we sold at the farmer's market. This was out in Washington State. So I took the train out there. And the summer I turned 15 or 16. And that was when I first played on the street corner. It was I had about 12 hours to kill in Chicago before before they put the double-decker trains on. Because, when you go west, you got to stop at Chicago first.
Yeah. What did you like about being on the train?
Well, I've been on the train since I was a kid. We always chose Amtrak, and we happened to live in a bunch of Amtrak markets when we were kids. So none of my peers ever rode Amtrak. But to me, it was the most normal thing in the world to go out of your way to drive to a train station at 2:00 in the morning to catch a train with your mom and dad and your sisters.
That's fucking could man. What'd your parents do growing up?
They were teachers. They are teachers. They're retired. They're both alive, happy, healthy 70-somethings. Yeah. They were born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. And Dad was always pretty a nostalgic dude. He's always talking about the past. He's always talking about his like German Oma, who lived at the Plaza Hotel in Toledo, which was basically federal housing, but he made it sound like it was a turkey dinner every night, even though she was probably eating out of cans and smoking generic cigarettes.
Do you think that's who taught you how to be a storyteller?
I think my dad always said he wanted to go into radio. I mean, my dad is a elementary school principal. Mm-hmm. So, my dad is very like girls and boys. He's very articulate and has a voice that draws you in and makes you feel, because when you're in the school business, it's kind of like country music. Your demographic is mothers and not
mothers and
older mothers.
Yeah.
It's like, 29 to 49-year-old white women. That's who country music has decided is the demo they need to serve. That's who everyone is serving. Ask Darius. It's true.
So it's actually, you're spot on about that. What is it about country music that older women become so intrigued with?
Well, it's a highly commercial format. And that's nothing new. It was that way when I was a kid, but it had much more of a connection to its older honky tonk twang self. Right. And nowadays you might hear an artist occasionally who has a throwback, but oftentimes the throwback is really put on because throwback is kind of like a major on brand thing for country music to do and has been, since the whole genre got started. I'm convinced that suburban white housewives tend to be the demographic of country music because country music is a really safe bet, and country music prides itself on this quote unquote accessibility, but it's this kind of American, this outdated sense of accessibility. Who has the privilege to access this? Suburbanites, middle class, and then who else would like to access this but can't? And then you start exploring the sociology of, the white South and also white rural places. And you see that the interplay between Trumpism and the fans of country music are, bedroom buddies.
Right.
Everyone wants to be successful. And if you don't have a hand on the cultural ladder, if your closest rung is a super Walmart 25 miles away from your mobile home, you want to hold on to that real tight, and you want to listen to the kind of music that makes you feel several rungs above that, if you know what I mean.
So why are we so fascinated with this illusion still?
Oh, man, I think it's just age-old Americana, not in the genre sense, not at all, but in the ways that we like to tell ourselves a story to feel better about the harsh reality that it costs, the price of this freedom, the price of becoming the leader of the free world and whatnot. It didn't come easy, and the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness was not available to everybody.
Right. So now that it is kind of available, is the American dream dead? The old idea of American dream, or is it kind of brought on something else?
Well, that's a great question for us all to be thinking about in times like these. I think my answer would be that no, the American dream is very much alive, but it's possible that it's being dreamed somewhere outside of America more successfully and with more passion and drive.
Right. So why are we still believing? Why are we still believing in the illusion?
Disney and Lee Iacocca and Donald Trump and all those made up stories about grandeur and rags to riches, man. We just love that tale.
I know, I think of that in the music industry too. When you think about when you first started music and stuff, and like the idea, the dream was to like maybe, I don't know. Actually, you should tell me this before me, analyzing something what you're about to say. What was the American dream for music for you, Ketch?
I think it was really informed by Pete Seeger and Bob Dylan, probably the most influential people in terms of my developing the kind of, I can't remember if it's the id or the ego. Do you remember which one of these we're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. The ego.
Okay. So, in my egotistical construction of myself in the mirror of life, I wanted to be like Pete Seeger because I wanted to be a proletariat. I wanted to speak for the people and to the people with the language that the people had created. But I also wanted to be like Bob Dylan, which was to say whatever you wanted and be more of an iconoclast, like John Milton, go wayward and be T.S. Eliot one day and P.T. Barnum the next, and Jimmy Swaggart 3 weeks after that. Yeah. Bob got to shapeshift and do a whole lot of things. Pete is an incredibly consistent performer.
Yeah. It's fascinating because you look at, is that a push and pull inside yourself of who you want to be, the between the two egos, let's say?
Oh, maybe. I think that it all probably happened when I was about 12 and I just settled on the path that was unfolding. I'm not really wrestling with a should I, shouldn't I kind of thing. I've been in a band for 23 years. So I think that's, an indicator of my confidence that I picked the right path.
Yeah.
But I'm here in my middle age years now, and I'm like, hell, I can do whatever the hell I want to. I don't gotta get on that bus and go to Philly to that damn radio convention.
Yeah, it's true. So tell me about the path when you were 12 years old. What was that path like when you first picked it?
Well, I went upstairs to my attic because I don't know why. I went upstairs to my attic. Oh, because my uncle had moved to the Philippines to be a teacher, and then he brought all of his crap to our house. And upstairs in the attic suddenly was all this new stuff. And anyway, there were all these records. And these records were so cool, man. There was like Stevie Wonder at age 14. It was called Stevie Wonder's Greatest Hits. The kid's greatest hits came out when he was 14.
It's insane.
There's nothing on it that you've ever heard.
Yeah.
None of those songs are hits at all.
Yeah.
But they were on Motown. They were on that label, and they were in that marketing conversation that they must have had up there at the Motown building when they were like, let's call it his greatest hits.
Right. That's so true. It's like, so those are the guys that are inspiring you. I mean, it seems like your parents were, really deep into education. I mean, as I look, later on in your life, you were an alumni at Philip Exeter Academy. It's insane.
Yeah, it was a really good high school experience. So by the time I went away to school, I already had found the records. I already had found an old guitar. And then the other important thing that happened is that I'd already had a paper route, which meant that I had to get an alarm clock. And I happened to get the alarm clock that had an AM radio.
Yeah.
And just like my dad grew up in a kind of illusion that the past was somehow saintly and beautiful, I did too. Right. And so for me, listening to AM radio when everybody else was listening to Nirvana's Nevermind, not that I didn't listen to that also, but I also listened to a lot of like seed and grain reports from the Great Plains. At 1 o'clock in the morning on the AM dial, you could hear the whole country. And I was about 10 or 11 tuning in. I felt so connected with the traffic in Cincinnati and Toronto. Everything was, I could listen to the radio in New Orleans and St. Louis. It was all there. And anyway, so I got to high school, and that's when I started learning to play the banjo.
So going to this like prestigious school and you telling your teachers and your friends and stuff that you wanted to play music, was that shone upon, or did they want you to like do something else?
No, I mean, I think I was a scholarship student. I think being a Southerner, it was actually a kind of diversity for them. Mm-hmm. It was an extremely diverse community. There were kids from all over the world. Lots of international kids, lots of kids from Asia, lots of kids from the Middle East, lots of European kids. There were kids from Africa, and then kids from all over the United States. I mean, I went from the poultry processing capital of the world, where I was in middle school, to this elite boarding school lineup on the seacoast of New Hampshire. So it was a hell of a trade-off from like the polarized, everything is black and white. You work at the plants, you don't work at the plants. Latinos come and work at the plants, or they don't work at the plants, right. Or you're middle class, or you're upper middle class, or whatever. So it was I didn't find right immediately that I fit into high school, but but music and sort of becoming a Southerner while I was in New England kind of helped me sort of foment these insecurities and turn them into strengths. Like I was different than everybody. And it had never occurred to me to like have a twang or like wear overalls, but I did as soon as I was, 14. And then I had dreadlocks and, I learned a lot when I was up north. I went to Fish shows and I saw the Grateful Dead and I went to all these Dylan concerts and all that stuff. And, but in my heart, I was always going to be a fiddler.
Tell me about those years between 18 and 21 when you started developing your craft. Were you busking then?
Yeah, I was playing on a lot of street corners. And in the beginning, I had a couple of different bands, some from my hometown. I moved to Greensboro, North Carolina to get close to the music right out of high school. And then eventually I started Old Crow in Ithaca. But ahead of that, I was playing basically anywhere. I really enjoyed working in agriculture, and I was really into the kind of confluence of music and ag. To me, it was like the same thing to, like put in a really beautiful row of beans and watch them come up as it was to learn a song.
Right.
And like I worked at a lot of farmers markets. So like I would always play at the market. And I write little jingles about, what I grew or, if the lady that was selling sweet rolls across the way was real cute, and I'd have my sawhorses up there and I'd lean against them with my overalls on and my silly, like 18-year-old awkwardness, newborn colt kind of attitude of, smoking Merit cigarettes and singing my songs.
When you talk about this mission, I feel like, you say that, Woody Guthrie was talking to you internally and stuff. What was Woody telling you during those years, beginning years of being in the band?
Just everything I read, I would read these books of his or study up on his songs or read, Steinbeck or whatever he was reading. And I just feel like I wanted to be where those things were happening. I really wanted to be at the site of an uprising, and I wanted to be at the site of of hard scrabble people scratching out a living. Mm-hmm. I wanted to explore traditional life pathways and see what was left, because I knew that I read a lot of books that were from the 70s in which the Back to the Land movement had really inspired a lot of literature and lifestyle changes. So like I was super into communes when I was 18. I wanted to live on one. I had lived on one. I wanted to go to more. Intentional living was something that was, attractive to me. And when you look at where those ideas came from, they're really from the 1970s, late 60s as a kind of result of the counterculture movement. And I always felt like a 60s kind of kid.
So did you ever feel like you never wanted to be a sleepwalker? When you talk about living, you talk about living and like having a full purpose in life, then so you're basing it on maybe people who just live life without having passion, without having drive, sleepwalking a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely was never at risk of that. Like I can barely rest.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's what's so important about living to you?
One thing is coming clear is that it doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
And it's all you get.
Right.
So you might as well like really live it up.
Yeah.
Try and take your life and give as much to other people as you can, enrich others and be, generous and kind as much as you can, because you only get this one crack at it. So, I just have I'm a person that's often like stopping to talk to children.
Right.
Sometimes the dads, like yesterday, I did this gig and then I was out in this mall, this pedestrian mall, and I was looking at this kid and I just was like, what a beautiful kid. And then I saw the dad looking at me like I was some sort of freak and like putting on this real protective skin, like puffed up as he like held his daughter's hand closer. Right. And like that, I get that, but I was just looking at that kid and thinking, God, isn't life beautiful? Right. Look, we start this whole thing out with all this wonder about what is this amazing world that we're living in where it rains
Right.
and the wind just feels so cooling? Oh my God.
Right. No, it's totally true. Do you ever in your career with your band, you know, like with that philosophy, sometimes we forget to do that to the people surrounding us. Does that make sense? Have you ever regret any times not doing that with some of your band members?
I mean, no. I mean, I wish if I got any regrets about how it all went down, it's a personal one that in my 20s, particularly in early 30s, I was just really, really stressed out about this lifestyle and gig. And, you know, I was so worried. I just could barely enjoy any part of what I was building very successfully for, you know, somebody that was going to play the fiddle for a living. I was Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know how you get better off than, you know, when you can play the violin in cross tuning and be a self-taught player and turn your journal entry songs into, you know, hits or anthems or whatever and travel the world. I mean, I don't, you know, like, yeah, maybe I could get like a second bus or like I could, you know, I could fill an arena or something, but I'm cool with where things are at. I just wish that I could have enjoyed the ride a little bit more, especially when it was so dicey.
Yeah. Talk about those years when it was dicey. Like, what was making you not appreciate the life?
Well, it was a really dysfunctional collection of human beings.
Yeah.
You know, it turned out that the people that I had assembled to help me do this mission, you know, who are all in different parts of their own lives and journey, were not overwhelmingly a cast of characters who were going to be able to pull off the mission forever. Now they might have for some time or an intermittent, you know, in and out kind of thing. Like,
right.
I'm in the band for a little while. Now I'm going to go sober up, or now I'm going to go work on this stuff, and then I'll come back. And so there was that, or there was just, you know, I mean, from the minute we started the band, there was somebody new in and somebody old out.
Yeah.
So that part of it was just part of the evolution of it. But yeah, you know, interpersonal conflicts, I think, were probably, if anything was going to sink us, it wasn't that we sucked or that we, you know, weren't going to get a big break. It was that we were going to self-destruct. Self-destruction was pretty epidemic in the Old Crow in the early 2000s.
Yeah. Did it put pressure on you? Like, cause this is your baby, this is your dream child. And to feel like it's hard to find a group of guys to envision the same thing you envision, it must've been overwhelming at times.
Yeah. I always kept a lot of, pots on the stove at the same time. So, and I'll often sort of keep things compartmentalized as the way my brain works.
Right.
And so maybe I wasn't really sharing that with anybody. I was just sort of taking it, you know?
Yeah. Maybe it's a shield, because the thing that you have so precious and that you cared about forever, you didn't want it to be fucked up from someone who didn't care as much as you did.
Yeah, but I also didn't want to punish anybody for not feeling what I felt.
Right.
And so some of the relationships, they just went on too long because I didn't know how to say, hey, I think you might do better off doing your thing.
Were you scared to say that?
Oh, yeah, terrified.
Why?
Well, it didn't seem like, it took me about 35 years to say no to anything or anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I said yes to some pretty untoward advances.
Like what? What's the worst one that you still think about?
You know, when you have that dream about, you know, when you have a dream in which you find yourself like going to a really dark or inappropriate place and you're like, oh man, I'm so glad this is a dream. I would never have made this choice in reality.
Right.
You know, I felt that I did make that choice in reality, and, you know, sometimes found myself in really compromised state, whether it was sleeping out of doors with, in a sketchy situation with drug addicts. I remember one time being in Buffalo, it was a snowstorm and I ended up with, in this, needly kind of part of town, and I slept there, and it was really, really sketchy.
Yeah.
And the only reason that I allowed it to happen is because I made some friend,
Yeah.
because I rode Greyhound, and, I was 26 and people came up to you and I had a nice or good enough backpack.
Yeah.
So, I just felt like sometimes there were parts about my personality that I had a little bit of a target, and yet I put it up there.
Do you feel like you get taken advantage of a lot?
No, it's not like that. It's just that I didn't know how to say no until I was 35.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Were you getting into like drugs heavily in your 20s?
No, not really. I was always around it.
Yeah.
Had my own little bouts with it, but it wasn't ever something that I didn't have control of. But I did have a drinking problem.
Yeah. What do you think that self-destructed the band a little bit because everyone had their own addictions?
Well, self-destruction was the issue with the early days of Old Crow, and everybody had their own way of, making that manifest.
Yeah.
For some, it was to escape. For others, for some, it was like me, it was to escape the band, and for others, it was to escape the demons and that they were hearing.
Yeah,
but everybody was looking to self-medicate and figure out how to cope with pain.
Yeah, and
discomfort.
Yeah, and that it breaks my heart to think that you weren't comfortable in your own band. Why weren't you comfortable with those guys? You kind of talked about it a little bit, but maybe we could talk about it a little more if you don't mind.
Well, I guess I didn't. It's really hard to go into it all and not be like, super explicit about it. And I've sort of saved some stories. I've just kind of saved for myself to tell when I feel like. Let me tell you, one time I was working on this thing with Ken Burns called Country Music, and I said, Ken, why does the movie stop in 1999? It's 2017. He said, oh, because I think it takes about 25 years to understand what happened.
Oh.
And I don't like to tell a story until I know it.
Yeah.
And the news is in, and the this is called literary criticism, the lit crit types.
Yeah.
So, I'll be ready to tell those stories, but they're still even hard for me now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a brotherhood, man. Have you ever had any public fights on stage? You ever used to beat the shit out of each other?
No, I think we kept things pretty much within, the sphere of ourselves and our band community, which was troubling because it was so internalized. I don't think anybody knew. I don't think my mother knew how unhappy I was.
Yeah. Did you have a girlfriend back then, or a wife or anything that knew?
Uh-huh. And I don't think she knew about it either.
When did you guys start getting successful as a band? How old were you?
Well, success always felt immediate because we were buskers. So, we were starting without even a gig. So we go into a town, say we'd play Ottawa. We'd go into Ottawa, 1998. We'd go set up downtown wherever there was some tourists or something going on.
Uh-huh.
And by the time it was over, we'd have, a case full of money. We'd all be about 2-3 beers in, and we'd have a gig the next night because that's what somebody would have tipped us with was, hey, you guys should be on the stage.
Yeah.
And so the success felt immediate, and it was, not addictive isn't the word because it was just so beautiful. It was miraculous,
right?
Is what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful. So do you feel like those are the best times of your life when you're busking with your band versus playing theaters and having a hit, or?
No, I like it better now, man. Life's so much richer. There's so much happening and so many ways to shine my light and to be the recipient of the lights of other people around me and that of the world. I love that it happened when it did, and I have wonderful memories of being a street corner performer, and I do it every night. It's the same act. It's where I learned how to do everything.
Right.
I'm a self-taught musician and entertainer, and I learned how to do it by traveling real hard and living real hard and, sleeping in all those crazy places and homeless shelters and meeting all them crazy people and turning them into songs. And, I just feel like my access point to that part of me will be with me my whole life. Like I'll never not be able to write a song because there's so many song worthy things I've already seen and done. And many of them I did like before I was like 23.
Yeah. And it's probably the harder part is to just remember all the fucking stories.
Yeah. I actually have a really acute memory. So I wish I had written stuff down because what I don't have is a very good spatial memory of like or chronology.
Right.
But like I can remember like dressing rooms I puked in 20 years ago.
That's so crazy.
The color of the walls and stuff. Like
is it a blessing and a curse to remember everything?
No, I think it's just a blessing. I mean, I don't really cringe about things in the past anymore. I did for a long time. I think if you'd asked me that 10 years ago, I'd say blessing and a curse.
Right.
But now I feel good about all the things that I used to get squeamish about. I mean, I could still get a little squeamish.
Yeah. Yeah. What about your relationship with like Willie? Are you guys on good terms, or how'd that?
Oh yeah, out? Willie Watson and I, we didn't talk for a while and we parted ways, and that was unpleasant and everything, but it's not really like that anymore. And we've really found peace and harmony. We've sung together and corresponded and talked on the phone, and, we text each other now. I was in touch with him at Moral Fest this weekend. He was the day before us. I'm trying to book a show with him right now. So yeah, I mean, we're pretty good there.
Do you hold grudges, or are you a guy who lets things go eventually?
I think that I'm a person who has a hard time moving on. Yeah. Stubbornness.
Yeah.
So it's not so much like I'm like holding resentment. It's just that I'm so used to the bus just rolls. You just get on board. It doesn't even matter if you're happy or sad, or if your kid just learned to walk or crawl, or you just got into a fight with somebody you love, or you're worried about something, money or something. You just get on board and then you just ride, and then you go play a bunch of shows, and then people all react like you're a great dude. So
yeah, it's true.
It just keeps on happening again and again. And so as long as they keep reacting that way, you can sort of live in a bubble of, well, everything's pretty placid on the road, at least.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me because do you know Vince Herman from Leftover Salmon?
Sure, yeah.
He's a road dog too, and he's been like that his whole life, and that's one of my mentors. And he talks about like intention and what do you know Colonel Bruce Hampton too? Do you familiar?
Yeah. I saw Colonel Bruce when I was 14. I wanted to be just like him.
Yeah, tell me about that. What did you see in him? Because I was unfortunate enough to never meet him before he passed, but all my mentors he was a big inspiration for him.
Yeah, I loved him. I saw him just one time because I was in high school and he was on the Horde tour, 94,
Yeah.
Horde tour was great that year.
Yeah, it was
Panic.
Panic. It was like Panic, Bruce. Who else was on that? Oh, Blues Traveler.
Blues Traveler was the headliner. All the ones that you mentioned, plus All Good was the other one.
Oh yeah, All Good. Yeah, it's so funny. That was the original festival, traveling festival, it felt like.
I know for me, it felt like I was bearing witness to whatever remained of the 1960s was Horde Tour 94. I thought it was so great.
Dude, it's badass. What do you think of the music industry in 2022? What's your take on it?
We just put a new record out, and it's been our most fun and seemingly successful launch. That nobody buys records anymore, so it's hard to calculate it in terms of, did you make a bunch of money? Did you sell a bunch of records? It doesn't have the same kind of quotient any longer.
Yeah.
But if you look at it just in terms of, like the joy quotient, I never had so much fun putting out a record. Right. I love my lineup. I was on a major label last couple album cycles, and they were cool, but it wasn't a great fit. Yeah. And so now I've gone back to ATO, and that's been a great and welcome return. I love ATO. I feel like I'm a part of a community. I've got this great management deal cooked up with my, basically one of my best friends is my manager, and she's amazing. And she's in partnership with Red Light, which is part of the, stakeholders of ATO, and it's just all kind of working out. And then I got this great lineup with this particular lineup of Old Crow members is just the best it's ever been. I mean, we just have so much fun together. It's light. We didn't pay for it in blood, so it's a lot lighter.
Well, you did, but those guys didn't. We actually played with you guys last year at Hogs for the Cause in New Orleans.
For a Cause.
Yeah. And
I remember.
Yeah, and Molly Tuttle. I mean, what a sensational find, man. Where did you meet Molly?
Yeah, and Molly's amazing. She's got a brand new record out called Crooked Tree on None Such Records. And I just want to put a plug in for it because I think it's the best bluegrass record that's been made in 10 years, maybe 20.
Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like with the guys, like there's so many bands that you guys inspired, and now like I feel like there's another upswing in bluegrass music with the Billy Strings of the world and the Molly Tuttles and the Green Skies who are doing this experimental traditional music, and I really think you guys are one of the frontiers in that. How does that make you feel that these guys are getting inspired by you, Ketch?
Well, I'm honored. The people that inspired me were just the most beautiful souls, and some of them are gone. A lot of them are gone.
Right.
They don't make them like John Hartford anymore.
No.
Or like little Jimmy Dickens. Like that guy was incredible.
Right.
What a heroic dude.
Right.
Or Charlie Pride. Like Charlie Pride held my kid. Well, they both did. Both of those men have walked my kid to the bathroom before. So anyway, I think having the good fortune of being in Nashville, I always felt like I was late to the party,
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be at Woodstock in 1969. I wanted to be in Nashville when Bob made, John Wesley Harding.
Yeah.
I wanted to be at the I wanted to be at the Pettit Bridge in Selma, Alabama when they marched across. I wanted to, push Medgar Evers out of the way when they murdered him from behind a tree. I wanted to be there for those moments.
Right.
But I got this moment. This is the moment that I was brought into. And I always felt a little bit like, I'm late for the party. I'm late for the moonwalk of life. It's already happened. And yet it turns out I was really brought into it in the right time because I've gotten to, mix it up with a lot of people who aren't on the earth anymore, and like, for example, going to see Jack Clement, who was the guy that was he was like saying into the mic, have you got anything a little bit, coax a little bit more? And that's when Jerry Lee Lewis was like, oh, I can play this. And then he starts playing Great Balls of Fire.
It's insane, man. You know, it's like you talk about like wanting to be part of an uprising, you know, and like we really haven't had an uprising until the last couple years, maybe. What do you think? Have you been a part of any uprisings in the last 20 years?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I think we're living in a dip, in a cultural dip.
Explain that.
I think when they talk about this time, I mean, to extrapolate the Ken Burnsism of takes 25 years to tell a story. I mean, it takes 500 years to tell a story too.
Yeah.
And so look at Shakespeare, you know, there's a 500-year-old story we're still telling. So what are they going to tell the story of in, 25, 22?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be about Americana or Nashville or bluegrass.
It's very true. But like, well, even take that in regard of American history. I mean, our country is such a new country that if you're talking about this 500-year philosophy, then we don't even know what America is.
Well, I think what they'll be talking about in 500 years is the last century. I think that the 20th century was one of the most astounding and destructive periods of time, the most volatile and shocking and beautiful and tragically flawed and ruinous times that have ever come. Yeah. I don't think there's a more glorious century and a more despicable one. So I don't know why they bother telling any other story than what happened from about 1900 to 2000.
I know it's insane. And like, why is it harder to be like an uprising songwriter? Why can't we talk about these things?
We can, and it's beautiful because there's a whole lot of fresh ears out there, like that little girl that I scared her father or made him feel like he had to growl at me last night. Like that little girl, she's never going to know that Bob Dylan's saying, how does it feel to be on your own with no direction home, a complete unknown, like a Rolling Stone? Yeah. She'll never hear that. I mean, maybe she will someday.
But not feel
in a
it.
bar or on her phone when she's 23. But in terms of music affecting her, that's a voice that we have the power right now to be the expression of, to put a song in somebody's ear for the first time. For kids today to hear a song that makes them challenge authority and feel strength inside and want to rock out and feel the power that that music has the ability to instill in you. I mean, those are voices like yours and mine. We have that ability now.
Yeah. Is it harder for you to see the bigger picture as you get older and, more miles on your body about what is the meaning and why I'm doing this?
No, I think it gets simpler. You do it because you're in the service industry.
Yeah.
You took an oath to provide a good time.
Right.
And you might have a good time doing it, and that's great.
That is so true. It's like I had this talk with one of my favorite songwriters, John Craigie, and these songs aren't for us. Or maybe they are. Are these songs for you or are they for them?
Well, I mean, they're coming from me, so they're for me in as much as, they're a way for me to focus experience and feeling and passion. That's all very much of me. But I write a lot of topical songs that are about, things that aren't me, or might be like, one of my favorite songwriters, when I first heard my uncle's record collection up there in the attic, was a guy by the name of Phil Oakes. Phil was always sort of like a lesser Bob, like in the patriarchy would be like Bob, Donovan, Phil Oakes, Tom Paxton, a whole bunch of others.
Yeah.
And anyway, I always loved Phil Oakes before I heard Bob Dylan, which is, I think, what a lot of people thought too. So anyway, Phil Oak's been gone a long time. He wrote topical songs. He wrote songs that, straight out of the newspaper. Bob wrote these too. A lot of folk singers wrote these. You are the news. You're you're a kind of, memorable CNN.
Right. And why is it so, it's like, and I talked about this too, like topical songs, topical songwriters. Do you ever get a moment where like you feel like it's a great topical song and then a year later it's just like no one cares about that topic anymore?
I think the pandemic had that a little bit.
Yeah, I remember you had that COVID song, which was funny. It was great. The lyrics were awesome on it. Last year, it was like something about sneezing or something. God, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was called "I'd Like to Kiss You, But I'm Quarantined."
Yeah, dude, I love that, dude. Can you still play songs like that?
We did it all last year. There were still a lot of face masks at the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, things change and you don't, the times change and look, I got a brand new record out and I want people to like these songs, but they all want to hear the old songs and I don't blame them. When I go see Bob Dylan, it's like the only ticket that I really buy.
Yeah.
Like, I sure as hell don't want to hear what he just recorded. God, no.
It's true.
Your chimes of freedom, man.
Does it bum you out? Do you have to play old songs? Did you hear that? Oh, does it bum you out that you have to play the old songs?
No, I just...
Sorry.
Gosh, it doesn't bum me out at all to play old songs. I understand why people want to hear what they've already heard. They're buying a ticket because they want to hear the way they felt when they first heard it. Yeah. And they might have room in their brains for something new. But I think more so it's a feeling of, give them what they want.
Yeah.
Service industry, remember?
I know, fuck. But what about serving us?
Will you hold on? Because there's somebody at the door.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Okay, it's like we talk about always serving everyone else. And then the idea of what serves your soul? Serving others?
Yeah, I like that game, I like to play that game. I really like social media for this reason because it's so you can feel like you never felt I'm new to this, right? So I haven't done this except during the past couple of years. But like when I send 2 flames and 2 banjos above those 2 flames, like I really mean it, man.
Yeah.
Like my emoji sending is really heartfelt.
Yeah, with intention, like Colonel Bruce.
Probably like Colonel Bruce. God, I loved him. He was awesome, man.
Yeah.
I didn't buy any records that day except for Aquarium Rescue Unit.
Yeah, the best with O'Teal and stuff. Those guys really learned a lot from him, and I could tell with even with Molly, man. Like ever since she's been playing with you guys, you could see her attitude is completely different, and I just think you are inspiring so many more people than you probably even know. Ketch, you are the man, dude.
Well, thanks for saying so, and thanks for giving me an opportunity to jammer with you a little bit.
Yeah, man.
And get the word out there. Thanks for the press, man.
Yeah, no problem.
It was my bandmate said I had to do this podcast.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm glad
because Mason Vi is a big fan of yours. So
Mason,
there's a big swirl of gratitude happening.
Well, Mason is the shit, and I'm so thankful you have this band. And they all love you, man. I'm rooting for you, bro. Always and forever. You were one of the first guys that got me to think about music other than just playing songs, but doing them with intention and doing them with entertaining and just being yourself and being completely authentic with who you are. And, I just want to say thanks, man. You really inspire me.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
Glad to do it.
I got one last question. We talk about legacy. You're a history buff, and when it's all said and done, what do you want Old Crow Medicine Show and what do you want you to be remembered by?
Oh, I want them to think that I sold a lot of harmonicas and a lot of fiddles and a lot of banjos and guitars.
Yeah. I
want them to think about me as a musical instrument dealer, like the Music Man. Remember, he got off the train
Harold
in
Hill.
River City,
Yeah.
and they all said, "There's no music allowed here. Mama don't allow that." But by the end of it, he had them all playing in the band.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to be, the Music Man.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but you're doing it, bud. Well, you have a great day.
Thanks.
Be safe out there. Take care of the boys and the lady, and I'll catch you soon, buddy.
All right, man. Peace.
Peace out, bud. Thank you. Fuck yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, Ketch. Appreciate you, buddy. Wow, that was awesome. God, that guy is smart as shit. That guy is very smart. I was like, God, I don't even know if I'm smart enough for this conversation. All right, we'll catch you on the tail end.